Good morning, everybody, and it's a brand new week. It's the last week before half term, and a brand new week for our assemblies. In fact, we're going to keep the same theme as last week, where we were thinking about, because it's such a big theme, how do we know how to live a good life? Where do we get our values from? And I'll come back to that in a moment. But before I start today, I want to do something really important first of all, which is to give a shout out and a well done to 3 children in year 5 who've done something really special over the last few weeks since we came back in September. They've done something altruistic, which is when we do something for others to no benefit to ourselves, because it's a lovely thing to do, and helping others is always a great thing to do. And these 3 children are Katie and Ava and Holly in year 5. And I came across these girls one lunchtime when I was outside, and they looked for all the world like they were just walking round and round the playground. And so I asked them, what on earth are you doing, girls? And they told me that they were doing something really special for charity. Through being sponsored, they were trying to do 100 laps of the school playground. And for every lap, their families were donating to charities, I think Macmillan Cancer and the British Heart Foundation. And I saw one of the children on Friday, and she told me that they'd pretty much completed this challenge, and that she had just donated £100 to Macmillan charity, which helps people and their families who are living with cancer. And I believe there's also some money that's been donated to the British Heart Foundation. So girls, that is such a brilliant thing to do, and I'm so proud of you, and I know your families and your teachers are too. Just to do something for other people, to give up your time, to organise yourselves, is a really, really good value to have. And it links really, really well into our assemblies this week. So very well done. So last week in our assemblies, we started thinking about, well, where can we find these values? Where do we learn them from? We talked about how we learned our values from home. And then we went back some very ancient stories, Aesop's fables. And if you can remember the stories, I think I told 4 of them last week. We learned from the hare and the tortoise first, didn't we? About how sometimes being careful, slower and accurate can be better than just racing to win. And then we had the shoemaker, the poor shoemaker, who found out that actually money made him really, really sad and not happy at all. And actually what made him happy was to share his gifts with his friends, the children that used to come and see him in the shop, and also the satisfaction of work. So that was an important lesson. And then what else did we learn last week? I know. We had the lion, didn't we? We had the lion and the mouse, and that was all about understanding that everybody needs help sometimes, and that it's not a bad thing to ask for help. We thought about what that might mean in school, about asking for help when we're stuck with our work and using our voices to ask for help. It's a really good thing to do as human beings. So this week, we're going to have a look at what religion and faith has to offer and how that can help us in our quest to live good lives and be good people. And this week, we're going to start with Christianity. And I'm sure you know from your RE lessons that for people with faith, in this case Christianity, one of the first places that they look for guidance on how to give a good life is from religious texts and religious books. And of course, in Christianity, the key book that Christians would use to find words of wisdom about how to live a good life is the Bible. And this is my favourite Bible, actually. It's so beautiful. It's full of wonderful stories and marvellous illustrations. And again, I'm sure you know from your RE stories and lessons that the Bible is separated into 2 halves. It has the Old Testament, which is full of fantastic stories from the creation of the world through to Adam and Eve, through to Noah and his ark. We love that story, don't we? And Moses and all his adventures. And then the section of the Bible that we're going to look at this week is from the New Testament, which is all about the story of Jesus, from him being born all the way through to the Easter story where he's crucified on the cross, but everything that comes in between. And one of the most important parts of the New Testament, when we're looking for messages and lessons about how to live a good life, is the stories that Jesus told. And in the Bible, it tells us that Jesus told stories. He often gathered people together to tell them a story. And the stories always had a good message. He told people stories so that they could more easily understand them, what he was trying to teach them. The stories were usually about the things that they did every day, their work and their families. And he used to say to the men, the women and children, so the Bible tells us that he used to say, if you have ears, then listen to what I say. So we're going to have ears this week, and we're going to listen to some of the stories that Jesus told. I'm going to try really hard, because I think they're a bit harder than Aesop's fables, to figure out what message each of the stories from the Bible that Jesus told to the people living in the world at that time might have for us as children and adults in our school. And the first story I'm going to read today is called The Two Sons. So try and figure this out. I had to think really, really carefully about this after I'd read it to figure out what the story was trying to tell us, what message it had. Here is a man. He grows apples in an orchard. Ooh, lucky man. I think that would be a lovely job to have, wouldn't it? An apple farmer. The apples are red and rosy, just like they are at this time of year, and it was time for them to be harvested and picked. But he needed some help. At home, the man had two sons. There they are. One in the red stripes, one in the blue stripes. I wonder if they're going to help him. I want you to help me to pick the apples, said the man to his first son. Oh, no, said the first son. I'm too busy. Looks to me like he's busy fixing an aeroplane there, a model aeroplane. But after a while, he was sorry for what he said to his dad, and he picked up a basket and went to the orchard. There he is, heading off to help his father to harvest the apples. So that's son number one in the red stripes. The man went to find his second son. I want you to help me pick the apples too, he said. I'm not so sure that this son is going to help. He looks too busy, being a bit lazy. Looks like me on a Sunday. Oh, yes, said the second son. Yes, I will, I'll come. Just as soon as I put my boots on. He pointed to his feet, and his father left him, looking forward to seeing both of his sons working with him in the orchard. Back in the orchard, the first son was busy picking apples, and soon he had already filled one basket. And there he is, peeping out from the apple tree. And there is his full basket of apples that he's helped his father with. Ah, well done, son, said the man. Here's another basket. We'll have this done in no time. So the son and the father worked together to harvest the apples. They worked together until all the apples had been picked, but there was no sign of the second son. He had forgotten his promise. Oh dear. Now, who do you think pleased his father the most? The first son or the second son? The first son was the one that said, oh no, I don't feel like it. And then he changed his mind and said, yes, I'll help. And the second son said, oh yeah, I'll come. I'll be right there, Dad. But he never did. He'd forgotten his promise. This is the important lesson. Jesus said, what we do is more important than what we say. And there's the two sons and the father at the end of the day. I'm just going to read that again. What we do is more important than what we say. So have a think. What might that mean? How might that help us as a message for how to live a good life? What we do is more important than what we say. Well, I was thinking back to what I said at the beginning of the assembly, and I was thinking about those three girls and their charity work that they'd done and organised for themselves. And in a way, I think that links really, really well, because those girls weren't just saying, oh yes, I really care about other people. I care about helping people when they're ill and their families. They've actually arranged something and gone about it and done something about it. So it reminds me of that phrase, actions speak louder than words. So what you do is more important than what you say. And it made me think of one other thing, children. I want you to think about, who was the last person that you said you were sorry to? Was it over the weekend? Has it been already this morning? Who have you had to apologise to? I hear a lot of apologies in school because it's a good thing to say sorry when you've made a mistake. And, I'm always saying we're all humans, we do make mistakes. But for me, the words sorry or I'm sorry are just words. It's the actions that make them mean something. Have a little think about that. So easy to say the words I'm sorry, isn't it? Much harder to do something about it. So the next time you have to say I'm sorry, I want you to remember about the story of the two sons. And when you say I'm sorry or you say you're going to do something, then actually do something about it. Being sorry means I'm going to try my very best to make sure this doesn't happen again and to put things right if I've made a mistake, because that's what a good human being does. So the story of the two sons, perhaps you've got some other thoughts about that you can share with me. A really good story. And tomorrow, I think we will have, one of my favourites, The Wise Man and the Foolish Man. So I'll see you for that in the morning. For now, have a really good day. Bye for now.